Hey everyone, Alex here from Brotherly Love Real Estate, and today we are unfortunately not talking about love. We're talking about how to sell a house that you own with someone, you own with a spouse, and you're going through a divorce with them. So we're going to cover selling before the actual divorce begins to file, before you go through the process, if you're selling during a divorce, or if you have the chance to sell after the divorce is official, how that works and what to do. Both of my parents got divorced twice each, one from previous partners and once from themselves, so they probably would have been good people to interview for this video. But nevertheless, we're going to go through and review just a few tips to get yourself started so you can figure out what things are going to happen and when they are going to happen and what that means for you. So let's start off. First is figure out your timeline. Number one, within yourself, do you have things that need to happen? Are you planning on moving out of state? Where are you going and what needs to happen first? Figure that out, and then second, communicate that with your spouse, your previous spouse, what have you, and see what they have going on too. They might be willing to, before you even kick off the process of starting the divorce, they might be willing to sell the house before you guys do that. That would be one of the cleanest ways to do it. You still both own it. It would just be like selling a house the traditional way, as a married couple or as co-owners of the house. So that's typically the easiest way to go about this, but of course it doesn't always work out with timeline. It doesn't always work out with how people feel. Maybe you don't have a lot of patience right now with the spouse, maybe vice versa, they don't have a lot of patience going on with you. Lots of different scenarios that we can go through, but first off, figure out your timeline and figure out their timeline and communicate that as clearly as possible, if you guys are communicating, and figure it out that way. Second is determine what you want to do. So do you want to stay in the house? Do you want to sell the house? Do you want to keep the house? Do you want to pass the house off to your kids? Figure out what you want to do with this asset, right? You paid a lot of money to get here to this point. You don't want to just give it away, toss it, throw it to the side. So figure out what you want to do, communicate that to your spouse, and then also figure out what they want to do as well. There are solutions for every type of scenario. For example, if one person wants to keep the house and one person wants to sell, that is a crossroads, but there are options for you. Your spouse can buy out you, or you can buy out your spouse. There's a few steps you have to go through. It's a little more complicated, but definitely doable. To sum it up, basically you'll figure out the market value of the house, figure out how much that person owns in terms of equity, typically 50-50 with spouses, and then figure out any debt on the property that is specifically just pointed towards that one person who wants to sell their shares. Cut out those expenses, do some math. I showed an example down below, so definitely check it out. And that'll give you a starting idea of what you would have to pay to buy someone out, or what they would pay you to buy you out, based on market value and a few other factors and points of data. So figure out what you want to do, figure out what they want to do. Are they moving in? Who's on the mortgage? If you guys have a mortgage, and how is that going to look? You can also do the same thing and transfer a mortgage just to one person's name. And if you're moving out or if they're moving out, you can just push it to one person, depending on how you plan to handle that. Again, all these logistics you want to cover and think about when selling a house, before you get divorced or even after you get divorced too. Lastly, I would just recommend working with your financial advisor and seeing the tax implications of what will happen when you sell this house. Timing is everything. Does it make sense to sell the house in the next fiscal year, in the next calendar year, based on taxes? Maybe it does. Maybe it's halfway through December and it's worth it to wait till January 1st to sell it. Consult with your spouse and decide if they're open to that, if it does make sense, and then go that route based on what makes the most sense for both of you, your family, your kids, and of course your bank accounts too, because houses are expensive, and you got, like I said, you pushed a long way and probably paid a lot of money for this house and worked really hard to get it. So you want to make sure you take care of this process and go about it the smartest way possible. So definitely read the examples below. We go through a lot more details of what to do before, during, and after a divorce. Hope this helps. Good luck with everything.